I'm sure most of you have felt the feeling of being judged by others or by feeling the pain that others have said to you, which is basically just being offended. I have this rule book that I follow. I'm only 18 years old, but however, I do believe that these simple 5 things can be adopted by anybody and they'll really change your life on how you operate about this specific thing. The first one being, just gonna name them down, sophistication. I mean, sophistication is really important because the more you understand other people, first of all, if you really want to understand other people, you really need to understand yourself. And why I say this is because to understand yourself is to understand everybody else. I mean, sophistication in my dictionary is you see things in people that they don't see in themselves. And I mean, one quote, you can generalize this. I don't know who said this. If anyone knows, just put it in the comment section. We're all just, or let me rephrase that. Adults are just grown up children. So you and everybody else, they're all just playing their role. They've been given their own life circumstances and their unique life circumstances. I mean, you can tie this to the word called sonder. Everyone has their own lives. We're all the same human beings. We all bleed the same blood, but we have been given different life experiences to think differently, to operate differently, to move differently. And sophistication, what this does is you have one person right here, you have another person right here. One is angry, the other one is happy. And I'm sure you've heard this analogy before in many, media forms or short form content, whatever it may be. You have the world right here, that little circle. Oh, sorry, I'm not too good at drawing. And they both look at the world, and the world is just the world. It's just being. But these two people, and what life is about is perception. So, although the world is the world, we don't view the world as what the world is. We view the world as who we are. So, if you operate from a perspective of happiness, you're going to see the great things in the world. But if you operate from a perspective of madness or angry, or not angry, anger, you're going to see the world and be angry at it. It's like that one other analogy. I don't want to bring up too many analogies because that's just boring, but it's like this analogy for opportunities. You know how you can bring up how I never saw this car. Let's say, for example, I never saw a Lamborghini before. And so all of a sudden your mind opens up to the possibility of seeing a Lamborghini. And then that same exact day or a couple days go by and then you see a Lamborghini on the road and you're just like, what the, you know, it's just unpredictable the way life is. But I mean, you kind of manifested it. I don't want to use that word too much, manifested, but you kind of manifested it in a sense because your brain doesn't know the difference between conscious reality and the unconscious. I mean, it just does. So if you want to speak something into existence, you're going to speak it into existence just because your mind is just powerful. And the same goes for the opposite. So if you want to see, I mean, I brought up the Lamborghini, but you can take the Lamborghini as something positive. And so if you want to see something negative, your mind is going to be more prone and open to seeing the negative things on the road, which is your path. And then we can go on to number 2 here. I'm trying to do this video without cuts. I'm not too really great at speaking, but I am doing great here. Thank you to God. I mean, I've just been consuming great speakers throughout the entire day, just trying to learn from them. I'm sorry if my room is messy. It's not usually this messy, so don't judge me for it, boo-hoo. Number 2 is going to be respect. And I say respect because it's almost in a sense of kind of pitting them, but almost understanding them. So you don't disrespect people for the disrespect they throw at you. I mean, you see this a lot in social media if you're trying to create or if you're trying to produce. A lot of people are just going to be hateful towards you. And it's a very cliche saying, but usually the cliche sayings are usually right. So you don't want to be mad at the haters, or you don't want to think like you're doing something right, although you kind of are if you're triggering people, but don't take that to a literal sense. I'm saying respect in the term of if you have this person spewing anger at you and he's mad, that's not really a great phrase, but he's mad at you and he's throwing it to you and you're just over here minding your own business trying to help people out. You cannot be mad at this guy. This guy is simply doing what he knows best. He's simply doing what he understands best. He knows that you can take this in a relationship, for example. I mean, I don't know if you've gone through this. I personally have. Men, probably all of them have. Well, I wouldn't say all of them, but a large majority have. They meet a woman, they're so sweet, they're kind, and then the 3 month rule comes up, and then at the third month, they really see who they really are and how they can accept genuine and kind love. And it just stems from them being children, because what we learn as children sticks with us for the rest of our life, and it's a really bad thing to, or not a really bad thing, it's a really hard thing to break and reshape. And if they didn't accept emotional support or kind love, they're going to reject it from you. So if this person is throwing hate at you, meanwhile you're just trying to support them, and I say support in the sense of trying to help them out, like through content or whatever it may be, you cannot hate this person. You genuinely cannot. I know it may be hard. I know you want to, like, you want to say something about their appearance, or you just want to clap back at them. You cannot do that. I know I struggle with this too. I'm no better than you. But you cannot hate them. You cannot give them a comeback, or it just proves that they're in your head. Literally, it just proves that they're in your head and you care about what they think. So you just cannot do that. The third one, it almost ties to respect, but it's understanding. This one is really important just because in understanding, you really understand them. You kind of, I mean, I said pity to the respect one, but you just understand them. You understand that they're not mad at you, they're mad at themselves. And so whatever they're spewing out to the world is what they really think of themselves. It's literally just that. I mean, every time I encounter a negative experience or meet someone who's not really the best person, even though that's all just a perception, I understand that they're simply a byproduct of their life experiences. And I mean, parents really play a big, big role in this. You see it all the time. If you met anybody who has terrible parents, or anybody who grew up with a mother working 2 jobs just to provide for the household, their life experiences and the way they operate in their own domain is very different from someone who had a very steady household, a very steady life growing up. So in this case, I mean, we can bring up honestly just how this almost leads to just love. I mean, love is always the answer. That's one of the points I'm going to bring up later. But this guy, I used a lot of stickman, by the way. I mean, I'm not the greatest drawer. I said that earlier. But you just have these two people. One of them is you. The other one is, let's say, I don't know, person 2, man. Let's just person 2. He's person 2. And this guy, he's trying to get in your head by using other people around you to influence the way you think. You see this a lot of families. You see this a lot in families sometimes, where you have that one family member you don't like, and then that one family member almost makes you just not want to go to family gatherings, or just make you show up. And then once you do show up, they just make fun of you. I'm the youngest excuse me. I'm the youngest sibling, so I go through this quite often where I just get made fun of just because I'm the youngest sibling. I honestly just accepted it, and I don't get bothered by it anymore. It's just family. At the end of the day, family loves you. I mean, what's a man without his family, right? But you got to understand that even if that family member doesn't like you, or if that family member is really annoying, who cares? Who cares? At the end of the day, it's just all a option that you can see. I mean, you can literally choose if you want to get offended or not. You can literally choose if you want to get offended or not. It's literally as simple as that. You cannot let that family member think that they have, and this comes, I'm not, you see my flaws coming in here. I was about to say you need to have some pride, but the Bible says don't have pride. You just need to have some sort of understanding to understand. Okay, that's a terrible sentence. You just need to have an understanding to know that this family member is projecting. That's literally what it is. It's simply projecting. They are simply projecting their own life situations to you. That is what they are doing. Number four, moving on to the fourth one, acceptance. If you cannot accept yourself, how can you accept the world? You need to first accept yourself for who you are. You have flaws. You're no better than anybody. If you dare judge anybody else, it's just going to be a cycle. It's literally just going to be a cycle from this to this to this to this. And it's a very negative cycle that you're going to put yourself in. I promise you, I went through this when I think I was like 16 years old. I'm not saying I had the craziest fucking life experiences, but I'm only 18. But you're taking advice from an 18-year-old. I'm just trying to, you know, give some source of validation here from what I've experienced as a young man. You are gonna have these cycles in life, and no matter what, you cannot stop them. I guarantee you have life cycles right now. You have these cycles of, I don't know, playing a video game. You have this life cycle of a vice, and everyone has their own cycles, but you can choose which cycles you want to repeat. And these cycles, the good thing about them is they can either be bad, or excuse me, good, since I'm using green here, or they can be bad. There we go. Now I'm using red. So the point I'm trying to get at here, actually this is really bad because I'm using negative and I'm using green right there. Okay, who cares? Let's go for a change here. Stop means go and go means stop. Did I say that right? I'm pretty sure I did. Who cares? These cycles, you can choose how positive and you can choose how negative they may be and how they would affect you. That's a great thing about free will. You can choose how things affect you and you can choose what enters your life. So the thing about these cycles is you have these cycles right now and you have them in social life. I mean, that's how you operate as a human being. It's your biological nature to operate with other people, unless, I'm not going to call you a psychopath or a mental patient, mental hospital patient, whatever. I'm saying that you need to interact with other people, and there's going to be cycles when you interact with other people. Happen. It's inevitable that they're going to happen. It's like gravity. You're being influenced right now. You're being influenced by what you consume. You're being influenced by what you hear. You're being influenced by what's around you. It's simply your environment. You're a human being. You want to operate how other people operate. I mean, you kind of just take you take a chunk of their operation and not their operation, but how they operate, and then you implement it into your own life and see if you agree with it or not to actually implement it. And if you don't accept these cycles, you can never go into the awareness that leads into breaking them. And every family has their own cycle. Your family member can have this problem of not taking enough risk, and there comes that one family member who comes and breaks the cycle and ends up making financial or earning financial freedom for them, and they no longer have to work a job or complain about their terrible coworker. If you want to accept yourself, you need to understand that you have cycles, and they're negative and they're positive. If you go into the path of awareness, you're going to understand that you need to fundamentally just break them down. And it's not easy, it's very hard. But you need to understand that you basically just have cycles going on inside of your life right now. Be aware of them. Choose what you want to be the ones that are reoccurring mostly, and choose the ones that you want to end. It's that simple. The fifth one is rejection. You're going to be rejected all the time, whether it be a job interview, whether it be in social media, whether it be in friend groups. You're going to be rejected. The great part about this is that you're going to be rejected. It's like going for success. You know that failure is going to be inevitable. And the great thing about failure being inevitable is that so is success. But there's one thing that is very important to this. You need to have persistence. And in some cases, like a breakup, let's say, if they're treating you like terrible, if you're going through a lot of things, you don't want to be persistent with them, you don't want to give them another shot. I know it's super hard. I know you want to keep going back. This is where self-respect comes. You need to have self-respect to understand that you're a great human being with a kind heart, just like everybody else. You cannot let your experiences ruin you, and you cannot let the world ruin you. To have persistence means You're going to be rejected, but you're fine with that. The world is going to keep spinning. And although it may seem like a big thunderstorm, it may seem like a big gray cloud, you're going to move on from it and you're going to be perfectly fine. You're a human being. You're not a robot. You have emotions. You need to understand that you have these emotions so you can accept them. And men, a lot of times, they say, oh, men don't cry and blah, blah, blah. It's fine to cry. I personally don't cry around family members, around anybody else, around my girlfriend. But I do cry only with God. And I think that's how I'm going to end off this video. I mean, I haven't went on a rant for this long. I mean, maybe the next YouTube video can be about how I don't know how to speak and I'm creating a habit on how to speak better in front of a camera. I mean, truthfully, I'm really proud of myself for doing this because usually I go 1 minute in with a video and I just completely buff it. I just restart because I've just done so much stuttering. But this just goes to show what you consume is what you'll end up becoming better at. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to be going for more. I'm just documenting my journey to this. You're going to see how much of a great speaker I've become. And the rest is just for me to show because I don't want my brain to be tricked into thinking that I already did it. So, yeah, peace.